Hi, I'm Arjan and I've received an offer to study computer science at Trinity Hall College, Cambridge. Today I will be talking about my experience with the application process and share some things I found helpful along the way. After deciding to apply, one of the first things I had to do was choose a college. If I'm being honest, I didn't do much research. I visited a few colleges in Cambridge on an open day and ended up picking Trinity Hall purely because it seemed quite cosy and was right next to the river. Even still, going to see a college in person will often help you gauge whether or not it's right for you. Some of the other considerations you may want to take are things like accommodation and location, or the college's reputation in a sport/hobby you spend a lot of time with. After making the decision on where to apply, you'll probably want to start writing your personal statement. This is a vital part of the application. You'll likely have heard from several people by now that it doesn't particularly matter how good you already are at your subject, and that you don't have to be the world's leading expert in your course choice. It matters more how passionate you are about it. And while this sounds very cliche, it is definitely true, and something you should keep at the forefront of your mind when writing your personal statement. Universities, especially Oxbridge with their tutorial system, want to be sure that you're a teachable person, which is usually demonstrated through a natural curiosity in the subject, rather than a robotic list of accomplishments. I've seen people with a resume of supercurriculars longer and more impressive than most of us could even dream of having simply the motivation to do, and yet be rejected from all 5 of their choices for the sole reason that they just listed their achievements without demonstrating any sort of interest in the subject. However, that's not to say that supercurriculars aren't important. If you're still in year 12 or below, you should be doing as many things as possible which you can use to demonstrate your passion when it comes to writing your statement. Being a computer science applicant, this was more straightforward for me than it may be for other courses, as I was able to just do a few programming projects. Besides that, I also mentioned the fact that I helped run a society within the school, as well as my work experience. Books are always a good option too. However, you should be aware that just simply stating that you read a book is not going to help you very much. And you need to be able to say what you gained from the book and how it relates to your interest in the subject. Essentially, everything you say in your personal statement should somehow link back to your general passion. Create as many drafts as you need and don't be afraid to ask for help. When I was writing mine, my friends and I all sent drafts of our personal statement to each other and highlighted any good and bad parts we found. By my final draft, I had asked pretty much every friend and teacher I knew whether they thought it was okay to send off. Make sure to check the Elton personal statement bank on SharePoint for inspiration as well. After this process, you will likely have an admissions test. Make sure to check your course website for more specific information about that. For computer science, I had to do the TMUA, which was basically just a maths test. All I can say for this is to just do lots of past papers. Don't be discouraged if you feel your admissions test didn't go very well. If you get invited for an interview, it means they think you have a chance. I actually ended up with a pretty average score in the TMUA, but I was able to secure an interview nonetheless. On the topic of the interview, if you do get invited for one, make sure to use the resources you get from the Oxbridge programme to your full advantage. The mock interviews with Old Eltamians are a great opportunity. Also ensure you arrange as many mock interviews as possible with your subject mentor. There's still plenty of stuff you can do beyond that as well. I was lucky enough to have a friend who was happy to search the internet for computery/mathematical and logic interview questions and giving me feedback afterwards. We did this very frequently, and it helped me get used to not only the relatively unique style of interview questions at Oxbridge, but how to actually act in the interview, which leads me to a very important point. The interviewers want to know your thought process. It's okay if you don't know how to do a question at first. They're there to give you hints which will help guide you through the task. This is essentially a chance to show you are someone who reacts well to the kind of learning that will be very present in the tutorial system at Oxbridge. Sitting there silently panicking about the fact that you don't know how to answer a question is not going to help your chances. Even if you feel like it's complete waffle, just think out loud. Any sort of initial thought process is a step forward. For computer science, I was asked mainly logic questions with a couple purely mathematical problems thrown in. You will likely be asked about your personal statement as well, so you should be able to speak fluently on anything you wrote in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Good luck with your application.